A shocking report from the Senior Citizen League. This report shows you all the important details for Social Security, SSI, SSDI, VA survivors recipients, and this report is kind of a shocking, particularly talks about your benefits. So without further ado, let's discuss this report from the Senior Citizen League. So the Senior Citizen League is suggesting that seniors need $517 more per month in their monthly benefits. And you know what? This additional payment of $517 is just so that they can able to receive the money that they used to receive about 23 years ago. Now the cost of living adjustment the Social Security Administration provides each and every year are simply not enough to keep up with the rising high prices of the inflation. This is why we are seeing 36% loss in the buying power of all the Social Security beneficiaries. It's clear that everybody can agree with this important fact. Social Security payments have not kept up with the rising prices of the goods and services. That's why we needed to see an increase in the Social Security benefit payments in order to make up this 36% loss of buying power in the Social Security fixed income, low income beneficiaries. Now, it's very important to take action and make sure that our senior citizens are able to have the same buying power that they used to have about 23 years ago. And I hope this video sheds enough light on some of the important aspects. Now coming over to the details why everybody is struggling. Talking about this very important issue, the struggles of the Social Security recipients is due to the inflation. To put this simply, Social Security payments are not keeping up with the rising cost of living. A recent report from the Senior Citizen League found that Social Security payments have only increased by 78% from January 2020 to February 2023, while the prices of the items typically purchased by seniors have rose up by 141%. So where is that 78% increase in your benefit payment? In contrast, the prices of the goods and services that seniors are purchasing jumped to 141%. Now what this means for you, your benefits, this means that the average Social Security recipients was receiving $816 in year 2020 and now they are only receiving $1,453 average. However, the Senior Citizen League report found that in order to maintain the same buying power of year 2000, Social Security recipients would need additional $516 per month in their monthly payments, and this is much higher than the $2,400 increase proposed by Senator Bernie Sanders. I get this because you know what? Senator Bernie Sanders is proposing $200 per month additional in your monthly checks, but whereas the Senior Citizen League report found that you actually need $516 per month additional payment just in order to keep up with the rising cost of goods and services to have the same buying power that you used to have in the year 2000. Now it's easy to see why so many seniors are struggling financially. The cost of living is rising and Social Security payments are not rising with that same proportion, that same levels to keep up with the rising costs of goods and services, and this is why it's important to find ways to increase the Social Security payments to find a better way to meet the seniors' needs. And that's where the importance of the Social Security for the retired and elderly people and why it needs to be reformed, why Social Security needs reform is very important. It's no surprise that inflation has been steadily rising over the past few years and Social Security isn't keeping up with those rising costs of goods and services. To put this in perspective, if a person retired in 1969 was expecting to receive $1,450 per year, now they would be looking at spending hundreds more on essential items like just grocery, prescription drugs, oil, heating oil, dental care, Medicare Part B premiums, those kind of expenses. In contrast, politicians are still debating on what to do with the Social Security and how to reform it. They don't have any kind of a fixed opinion. We need to make sure that they understand Social Security should be offset approximately by 40% of the retiree's income and it should be not used as a way to make cuts and it would be detrimental to many people in the retirement. Additionally, it needs to keep up with the rising high inflation and not fall behind for all those millions and millions of beneficiaries. This will make sure that all those retirees will have a satisfactory retirement and Social Security needs to be reformed in order to reflect the needs of the today's retired population. It needs to be adjusted with the inflation and it needs to make up at least 40% of their retirement income. That's where our elected officials will come in handy because you know what? Our elected officials will understand the importance of the social security and its reform so that elderly and retired people can live comfortably with dignity and secure life. Speaking of the social security and why its reform is so important, as we may know, social security is a program which provides financial assistance for the retirees, people with disabilities, and families of deceased workers. Now, unfortunately, the program is not keeping up with the inflation, meaning that people are not receiving enough financial assistance to make their end meet. And furthermore, there are politicians, those politicians are talking about making cuts to the social security program, which is even more dangerous. This means that people would receive even less money than what they are currently receiving, making it even harder to survive for all those group of beneficiaries. So it's very important for the social security recipients. It's very important to remember that social security should be expanded and people should be able to receive the increased amount of benefits in order to keep up with the rising high inflation. That's why it's pretty important to consider that $516 per month would be needed in order to even put the purchasing power of those group of fixed income beneficiaries, social security recipients into the levels of year 2020. Over the past few years, the cost of living adjustment hasn't keep up with the inflation. Now, one might argue that you have received 8.7% cost of living adjustment, but you know what, guys? Speaking of the COLA adjustment for the elderly in the upcoming year 2024, let's talk about the reason why they are making the changes. Inflation has been decreasing over the past few months, so the calculation used for the COLA are based on the CPIW figures. And right now, CPIW calculations are coming at about 4.6%. So Senior Citizen League is looking at the raise of about 3.2%. Now, this COLA adjustment for the year 2024 can be even lower if inflation continues to decrease, which is a good thing for the economy. But you know what? It's not good for all those millions and millions of beneficiaries. However, when we take a look at the COLA adjustment, cost of living adjustment, we can see that from January 2000 to February 2023, raise was only increased by 78%. That's an average of 3.4%. But the retirees' expenses went up by 141.4% during that time. This means that on an average, COLA adjustment of at least 6.2% should have been given to the retirees. But unfortunately, that's not the case. COLA is not as high as it should be. The solution proposed by the Senior Citizen League is to change the way how the cost of living adjustment is calculated. So currently they are utilizing the CPIW figure, but you know what? They are proposing to change it to the CPIE figure. This measure will specifically for the cost of living adjustment for elderly group of people and will hopefully result in higher cost of living adjustment. CPIW is not keeping up with the inflation. That's why it's time to change. It's time to make a change. We need to reform social security and add increase to it. Then that's why we need to change the calculation, the COLA calculation from CPIW to CPIE. That's the way how consumer price index for elderly should give out much larger increase for the elderly and help out to adjust them the rising cost of living. But the important question is, will Congress do anything about it? Unfortunately, we don't know at this point. There have been a lot of talk about social security reform for years, but you know what? Nothing has been actually done. Anything has been done, but that's why American people need to take a stand and demand the progress on this issue. In about 10 years, the Social Security Trust Fund is expected to run out of the money. If they will not address the Social Security reform issue, people receiving Social Security will automatically see 20% decrease in their benefits. That's why it's so important to get out and talk to our politicians, lawmakers, and let them know what's really going on. We must discuss with them and demand to make meaningful Social Security reform that will address the cost of living adjustment and ensure that people receiving Social Security benefits will not suffer 20% decrease in their incomes. And that's where this particular period is coming in, where politicians are up for re-election this year, and this is perfect opportunity for us to stand up and make our voices heard. So guys, what do you think about this? Do let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to hit that like, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and this is Kedar from How to Guys. See you in the next video.